This is a nice video. If you're like, I haven't made a video in a while, yeah, I've been kind of fucking miserable. Yeah, just kind of, it's like, it's not even seasonal depression. Seasonal depression is not the bad part. The bad part is it's like extremely fucking cold and humid. And so it's like, okay, I'll go to sleep with like fleece tights underneath some fucking thick polo sweatpants with some socks on and a beanie on and a bra, a sports bra, a t-shirt, and then this big ass crew neck. And then I'll be laying on top of a jacket and then have like 3 different layers of blankets, technically 4, on top of me. And I will still be freezing fucking cold because this stupid ass place has no insulation and it's actually ridiculous. And then I'm gonna lay in the fetal position under the blankets. And then I wake up with both of my arms fucking numb to shit and like they don't have any blood in them, and I gotta shake them awake like little spaghetti arms. It's fucking miserable. Everything's fucking miserable. But you know what? I'm still doing the best I can with what I got. And if you're like, did you just pick your nose? Maybe a little bit. Sorry about that. I was just trying to. I hate when I'm talking and I feel something around the edge. You'll live. I just saw a tweet, so I got triggered, and I'm like, I'm gonna talk about this again. I know you're probably used to this video topic, but it's not gonna stop me from making it. Something that really fucking pissed me off is the amount of friends I've had over the course of years where they would just see me as like a therapist or an emotional dumping ground, not a friend. Because it's like, why did for my old buddy Seamus, why was he always like, oh, so you get to complain to me about the comedy scene, you get to complain to me about your highs and lows, your woes, about that girl who doesn't really fucking want you but just wants you only in the sense of an ego boost. You want to complain to me about every fucking thing going on wrong in your life for hours and hours and hours on end, and you can't even be relied on for like consistent reciprocity. Like, really, not at fucking all. Or even like bare minimum conversation. Like, that's actually sickening. And it's fucking like, Jesus. The bar was low, but holy shit. But for, especially with him, it's like, oh, so you won't tell me about those like fucking open mics or shows you're going to. I have to ask you, and even then you'll respond hours later when it's already said and done. You got my message immediately. You just chose not to respond, but I'm supposed to believe you're any sort of fucking friend to me. Disrespectful as fuck. I don't know. Sometimes bad friends are like pimples. You have to just bust shit up to get it out, and then just like it hurts and stings for a while, but you eventually get used to it. So if you see my face bleeding, that's just because I tried to gently push this that looked ready to pop. I thought I'll push it gently to get the bad stuff out, and then my skin, and like it can be good. But no, it took me actually having to deep dive into it and go ham and go hard. But now it's popped, and it doesn't hurt as much as I think it does, and I'm actually a lot better off without it. Amen. It'll take a while to heal, but oh well. And that's how I had to deal with his friendship. His friendship was extremely fucking annoying. Like, I don't know. It already was a huge element of his personality that he never got over the fact that he could not fuck me. Because it's like, sorry, a bare minimum to fucking me is that it's like, yeah, I'm celibate unless I'm paid. You're either going to give me money so you can have the luxury of fucking me and tossing me to the side and bragging to everyone you know that you got to hit it and do this and do that, or you're going to have to consistently date me. And I don't pay bills for dates, and I expect people I date to provide for me because I should not be dating anyone in suffering. And I'm just really fucking annoyed. Just because, Jesus, I don't like people who can't hold themselves accountable. I'm gonna say it, and at risk of people who have this YouTube channel seeing it, I'm gonna say it. One of my old friends, she was the one who had a baby and was stressed out all the time, talking about the shit going on with her and her baby daddy. I could have excused a lot, but what really set me off was like several times my boundaries didn't get respected. Several times she didn't ask for how the fuck I was doing whatsoever. Several times. And then the kicker was that it's like, oh, so you talk to me almost every single day about, I miss him, I want to fuck him, I really loved him, I fucking hate him, how could he do this to me, he's lying, he's cheated on me, he never gave me money, and like you're talking and talking and talking, and I'm fine with that because I'm your friend, that's what friends do, but why aren't you a friend to me? Why do I have to suffer? Like, I can't talk to you about what's going on with my nigga. You don't, like, no. And then several things led to the demise of that friendship. It was, hey, you saw how bad it got when, like, you saw how happy I was with Wiley on the first fucking date. You didn't chime in to be like, I'm so happy for you. You didn't say, hey, watch out for these red flags, girl. You didn't say, hey, post him in this group or that group so you can know if he's like safe or not or taken or what's the tea on him. You didn't say anything at all. Anything at all. And then like, but then, oh, once shit hit the fan, like on the second date, mind you, the second date, suddenly you want to like, it's like I had a fucking knot on my head, I had a fucking blackened nose, and I had a scar on my neck that was bloody, and I was crying and miserable with my hair fucked up because his ex attacked me. And then you still wanted to fix your mouth to be all, oh well, you have to choose better men. Of all the people to be saying that, it should not be you. And then also, if you really cared and you, because it's like I didn't see the red flags, you didn't either, or if you did, you were quiet about them, which makes it worse. You didn't, you like, oh, it's like, at most they said like a passive, sorry that happened, or sucks that it happened to you, but it's like no consistent care. And that's when I was just like, I'm fucking done. I can't, because it's like, it feels like I can't keep giving you all my energy that I need to be expelling towards hobbies, interests, goals, healing of my own, while you just take and take and take. I can't do that shit. She reached out to me recently. She commented on one of these videos. I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh, she seems to keep tabs on me. I wasn't sure if I found that creepy or endearing, but I stuck with endearing because, okay. But I thought I probably shouldn't get re-involved. It wouldn't be safe. She messaged me on Instagram like a week or so ago, and I saw that she sent me like a mile-long bunch of paragraphs. I didn't read the whole thing, but from what I did read, it was just a whole bunch of accountability dodging with no real apology in sight at all. Just excuses. And just like, it's like, yeah, I get it. You were hormonal and depressed and going through a hard time. That's true. But I was still the person you talked to every fucking day, and you didn't invite me to that damn baby shower. I was interested in helping you plan it, and you entirely didn't invite me. The only way I found out about that baby shower was because you posted online like, baby shower's canceled. Because of rain, and damn, I invited all my family and friends, and it's like, oh, but I wasn't invited. That hurt. Bad. And then on top of that, it's like I could feel myself getting drained the longer I was friends with her. But whatever. It doesn't mean I wish ill against her. I don't. It just means like, I knew that was a bad friendship. Eventually I did snap though. I did. I said something not so nice about her on Facebook. She saw it, but whatever. Oh, I felt bad about it even after I posted it, but also not that bad. Because I don't know, sometimes I get in the mindset of these people don't care if they do bad to me. Why should I care if I do bad to them? And then usually like the blessing or the karma can just be simply not being a part of my life anymore. Kind of like how I felt about when I estranged my family. And when I left bad exes, whenever they would try to be like, you're such an asshole for doing this, I'd be like, that's true, probably. And so that, like, I would be like, hey, we should break up. And then they'd be like, you're really gonna break up with me over something as small as that? How immature of you to me. And I said, yeah, okay, you're right. And since I'm so immature, we really should break up because you deserve better. And then they get even more mad because it's like, yeah, nigga, your attempt at like gaslighting, negging, like mind games did not fucking work. It didn't work because I'm fully content to leave. It's like, okay, if what you're saying is true, that I'm such a terrible person, that I'm immature, that this, and that, cool. Let me be that away from you. Because why would, if I'm really that, you wouldn't want to be around me. So how about I get the fuck out? Exactly. And then with Seamus, like, Seamus still doesn't hold himself accountable for the shit he did to me. He doesn't. He likes to pretend that he never, like called me a fucking whore, that he never said inappropriate sexual things to me, that he never did. And, if it were, like, really, Jesus, he's such a bad guy. Our friendship ended a few months ago, like, pretty intensely. But, like, also not. It's hard to explain it, other than, like, I had to tell him, you did not come to my defense, or you did not, like, yeah, when I told you that those two comedians that you're friends with were trying to sit me at that bar, and then after I already communicated that I had an issue with my liver or kidney or whatever the fuck, and that I would be in searing pain and miserable if I had more than just one drink, and how I was fine just talking to them without any more alcohol in my system, how they went out of their way to get actually like not letting it go aggressive, like slamming their fists on the fucking bar counter, like seething rage, like actually guilt tripping ass like you would have thought I said something like, hey, Oakland needs to be burned to the fucking ground and everyone in it needs to get slaughtered. You would have thought I said that, but no, I was just like, oh, it's okay. I don't need one more drink. I can't. I have a liver issue. I can still talk though. I like talking with you guys. And they were awful about it. And then on top of that, they openly had a conversation where they were defending a local, allegedly, well, it seems like it's pretty accurate, a rapist in the scene. And they were like, oh, well, no way he did it. He's too cool. He would never do something like that. Also, wasn't the bitch a sex worker anyway, or some sort of whore or prostitute? I'm just like promiscuous. They aren't looking at the facts. And it's like, yeah, those niggas were creepy. So, and then they were like, yeah, I'm not gonna be cool with them. Those nasty fucks. But oh, he didn't see anything wrong with that. And I had to leave him a voicemail saying, hey, guess what, Seamus? You are a sober male. I'm very sure that if you were in their exact same, if you were in the same shoes as me that night, you would have been like, what the fuck are these guys on? Why do they act like they want to fucking fight me because I don't want to drink? What's wrong with them? Seems like they have malicious intention for why they would want me to drink anyway. And then, guess what? Imagine that compounded with them defending a guy who you know is a rapist, because Seamus was one of the first people to know. And then on top of that, like imagine how all that would feel if you were a woman who you knew these men were very attracted to, and it was dark, and you were relatively far from home, and they were your right home. You already wouldn't be cool with that shit as a strong, healthy man. Imagine how it would be like as a woman, and it's like you have the luxury of walking around at night, so you probably just decide, I'm gonna fine, fuck it, I'm gonna have to walk through all these different areas or take an overpriced Uber home at this hour. But then me as a woman, do I have that luxury? Not exactly. Jesus. And also, oh my god, when it came to shit with my ex Jared and even with Morgan, like he just was like, "Oh, well, so you say that he tried to pin you down by your wrists on the bed and then basically like demand you have sex with him and he wasn't letting you go or letting you leave? Well, how's that like sexual assault coded? Like how's that?" And it's like, "Nigga, what isn't sexual assault coded about that?" And it's like that's weird cuz Seamus was, I'm not going to say his, okay, well, I'm not going to say too much in case people see this. Let's just say I expected better out of Seamus. And it's like, what isn't sexual assault about that? If a man, like, yeah, it's basically in the sexual assault handbook. If I say no to sex a million times and then you're like, hey, I'm pinning you down by the wrist on the bed and I'm telling you you have to have sex with me, and even if you free yourself, I'm barricading the door and blocking it. I'm basically forcing you to be trapped in an environment with me. And then there's no escape, there's no way for you to leave. I have like twice your muscle mass and weight. And I can just, and it's dark and you can't do shit. What or like if it's, or hell, for the Jared situation, it's like, what's not rapey about the fact that it's like, hey, if it's the middle of the fucking night at like fucking 10 p.m. in shitty ass Vallejo, mind you, like it's already unsafe to be out there in general, but it's like I'm out here with like a dude who I thought I loved, and instead he's like, I'm gonna keep Tamia up, like as she's trying to sleep and she's desperate for sleep and she's on the verge of tears because of what I'm doing to her. I'm gonna just keep trying to grope her and force myself on her and force her awake and annoy her and be directly in her ear and grab her and not let her go. And I'm gonna keep her up for like fucking as much as like 7 hours straight, from like 10 to god like fucking daybreak, and to try to get her to fuck me. And if I don't get her to fuck me, hey, I ruined her sleep, so yay. And I ruin her, and then if she does fuck me, then I win. It's like, it's fucked up. I hate these people. I hate it. I hate it. Why do people want to fuck me up? Or at least like the bare minimum of care. I've made a joke on here, or actually I've made a whole video about how I think my life would be so easy being a narcissist. I wouldn't give a fuck about anybody. I wouldn't. Because I'm so tired of caring about people it's not reciprocal. Like my ugly ass housemate, for example, they're a fucking loser. I remember when they were going through hard times, I was there. I was the person sitting in a chair as they talked and let their heart out about their heartbreak and their trauma and their struggles in that kitchen, and I sat there for hours and let them talk because I cared. Roles reversed, not even like 1% of that energy. They don't care. They don't mind if I'm dead in the fucking streets in the winter. They don't care. So on the bright side, I don't care. And people don't like me. I don't care. The best thing you can do is sometimes no revenge, just cutting people off. Because people always realize what they lost when I'm gone. And like Seamus, I remember I was his friend when he was low self esteem, egocentric, all that. And it's like he was punishing me for caring about him just by trying to be his friend. And then I left, and he threw a tantrum, and he was all pissy to everyone he could talk about and making a scene. Like, if he saw me at a comedy show at an open mic, he'd go out of his way to death glare at me or try to make a dig my way or whatever. And that's not my fucking issue, because you were the one doing bad shit to me. You were the one saying I was a whore because I didn't want to fuck you. Like, boo hoo, nigga, shut up. Shut up, bald nigga. Take that weak ass hat off. Sorry. Did I really quote a meme? But yeah, he fucking sucked. And then guess what? Some time passed, and then weeks went by, and then he was like, you know what? Maybe she was right. Oh, hey, that place she said we should do a show at. Guess what? That place got filled by someone who wasn't gonna hesitate like he did. And then the place got filled. Anyway, but people are just bitch ass niggas at their core, and you can't really help it. Because on the bright side, it's like, okay, cool. When you start suffering and when you start going through your relationship issues or your loneliness, it's like you aren't going to have me as a soft cushion to fall back on because you're no longer my problem. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'll have to remind myself these people aren't adding to your life. They like, sure, you'll get the self-esteem boost for a little bit, like, yeah, I was useful and I possibly made someone's life better or like anything, but it's like deep down, they're pathetic. They're thoughtless and rude and arrogant and terrible. And then it makes me feel good that it's like, okay, never mind, I'm just gonna stop seeing you. And even though it'll hurt and it'll ache, usually after the first day or two of like, oh no, I'm alone, and it feels like this resounding emptiness, just like kind of like that Squidward thing where he's like, I'm alone, 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 alone. It's like that. But then after a while, you'll be like, okay, enough about being sad about someone who actually wasn't even that good to me. What can I do to bring myself joy? I'm gonna make mead. I'm gonna try cooking. I'm gonna try out some new recipes. I'm gonna go on dates. I'm gonna start like collecting things. I'm gonna like I'm gonna get my hair done. I'm gonna do some hot oil massages. I'm gonna read books, webtoons, webcomics. I'm gonna like get friends with fan bases online. I'm gonna like redecorate my place, do painting, and then you're like, holy shit, never mind. Wholeness and love comes from me. I don't need it from anybody else. And that feels great. And that did happen because eventually I realized it's like, what would these people have added if they did come into my life? What would they have added? Nothing. It would have, like, really, I've been making artwork and I've been, like, exploring things that I couldn't even talk to with them in the slightest because they'd be too busy talking about themselves and they wouldn't listen to anything I said. One of my last hangouts with Seamus was actually when I finally thought to myself that after so much times of giving him advice about his own dating fuck ups, I thought he could listen to me for a little bit. And what did he do? He just, like, he did exactly as you could expect a bad friend to do. Like, if I'm talking about how, like, things are stressful and traumatic for me, and then your response is to, like, the second I start talking, immediately start staring at your phone. And then you hardly respond to anything I say. And then I said something particularly traumatic. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he, like, snickered at it. And it was something that you should not be snickering at. And I just fully was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going home. And then he was like, wait, to me, what's the issue? I came back, and people get scared because sometimes when I start feeling like I'm about to have a blackout or any sort of mental breakdown, I start smiling. So I just kind of got really close to his face like this, and then he was like, hey, wait. And then, like, I just said, I have shown care to you that you don't show to me, and I'm done with it. And I just went home, and and a few other smaller things happened, but still related, and I just thought to myself, this nigga is, like, he doesn't want to be branded as a misogynist, but he is. He doesn't care for other people. He's not a good person. He's not a good guy. That's the type of weak ass motherfucker he is. And it's not really like, yeah, I saw who he was at his core. That's the type of man where if I was traumatized and suffering, he could not be there for me in the slightest. I hate these motherfuckers. And also, like, funny enough, every time, like, I was out of his life, he did kind of realize, oh shit, I'm not taking care of myself. I don't have her to rely on. I have to make life changes. And then he'd actually start following my advice and like set boundaries with that one girl, or sign up for AA, or like go to therapy for a bit and exercise more and eat healthy, and like we like see about like which friendships weren't fulfilling him and which weren't. And he'd crash and burn sometimes, but then he'd like get on his feet, and then he'd be like, I need Tamia back. He'd come back, try to be my friend again, and then guess what? As soon as I come back, he starts being a piece of shit again. And it's like, okay, and this has happened how many times? So sometimes you just gotta let people fail. That's just a necessary thing. Sometimes you just gotta let people fail when they don't have you around as like a fallback or a cushion. And then, yeah, I imagine the same happened to the girl I was mentioning before, the one who was pregnant. Like, and she came out of the woodwork recently, I guess, just to send me a photo of her baby. I didn't respond because I thought, I don't think anything good would come from me inviting her to my life. It wouldn't fulfill me, and what would happen? But she was insistent. She sent me a message like, hello. I said, hello. And then she said something like, I don't know, she might have asked me like like a generic, how are you? And I said, I'm okay, how are you? And then aside from that, she went back into like talking about her life and her situation. And it was like, okay, I'm happy to hear an update about her life. Like, she's doing pretty solid, as she's doing well. I'm happy about that. But there was fucking nothing else. And then it's just like, I kind of thought to myself, how long is she gonna keep talking about no one but herself? And then whenever conversation died, because she wouldn't just have the natural urge to be like, how are you doing with your life, with your home, with your job, with your relationships, anything? No, she would just like, and then when conversation died, because of fucking course it would, like the second conversation stops being about her, conversation would die. She wouldn't put in any effort. And then she'd be like, I gotta revive this. And then she sends me another photo of her baby or a video of her baby. And it's like, it's an adorable baby. I love that baby. It's beautiful. God bless that baby. Does not change the fact that it's like, girl. But yeah, I've explained enough. Moving on. Eventually, with time that passed, what happened? There was something specific that happened. Me and, oh yeah, just funny enough, just the other day, I was on a dating show with my buddy Seamus. Like, he didn't know I was showing up. It's actually really funny. Like, I walk in and he gives me this smirk that's kind of like, oh, she's here, but also like, oh, thank God she's here. Like, it's just like a distinctive, like, it's this bitch, but it's a blessing she's here at least. Ooh. And then the first thing he does is he's like, hello. I say hi, and I try to walk past him. He's like, you want to be on the show tonight? And I was like, uh, sure, yeah. And then I got on the dating show. It was incredibly awkward and unorganized, but it was still very fun. Glad I did it. Hope they get to do that again, if not at a better venue that does not sabotage them. But, whew, let me just say, something happened. Like, afterwards, like, he talked to me a bit afterwards, and then he talked to me this morning. I mean, no, he talked to me afterwards, then he talked to me the next morning. And then what happened was, like, it felt almost like how it felt without previous friendship. But then again, not in the sense of, hi, how are you doing? How's your life? Just him immediately coming to me about his life problems and asking me for a resolution. Like him being like, oh shit, how do I give these people a notice to let them know that I can't like work this job anymore? Because they sabotaged his show so hard. Or being like, just like, oh, I like, why do you think the venue did what they did to me? I said it's probably because they know damn well that if you were to give up, like, how do I put this, they know that if you were successful at producing comedy shows, that you'd probably stop being their door guy, and they want you to be the door guy, so they're trying to sabotage your shows and make it seem like it's impossible for you to get anything done. And then lo and behold, it's like, let's just say I even was like, I loved your show, I have a bunch of notes if you want to. And then he kind of said this response that reads as snarky. He said something like, oh, thanks, I could really use that, because I definitely need a reminder that it's all on me, and that if anything even slightly wrong happens, then it's entirely my fault. And I, like, for all I know, like, I could be misreading that, but there's no other way to see that aside from like snark, basically. And I said, you should be nice to me, because I'm just trying to help you out, and I didn't mean anything bad by it. That's why in my message I said, I have some notes if you would like any. If not, no worries. Your show was still great, 100% entirely. And I'm like, I almost sent him a message that said, "Your response actually makes me realize why I stopped being friends with you, because you're ungrateful, you have a massive ego and a temperament, and you can't be good or respectful to me, even when I go out of my way to be so to you." But before I could send that message, he sent me a message like, "No, no, I genuinely meant it. I genuinely meant it. I would love any notes possible. Any, thank you." And then I spent the whole of yesterday working on making notes for this motherfucker. Guess what the fuck happened? He made a post online thanking every single person he could for showing up to the dating show. And then there's one name he forgot. So I replied to that shit like, "Oh, but not me included. Okay." And I put the meme that says, "And none for Gretchen Wieners, bye," from Mean Girls, because fuck you. And I thought to myself, I like the list was so well drafted and incredible and amazing, but simply put, that and then his slowness and with responding to my messages and just, it's like, yeah, never mind. It's like I'm just gonna keep that notes to myself. And if I meet someone else who's like, I need an idea for a dating show, and if his stops and someone else has an idea, I'm just gonna be like, here you fucking go. Here's my idea with all the improvements that I was gonna give to Seamus, because Seamus can't even see me as a friend or remember anything I've done. And he would never, like, he won't take my advice, and when he does, he won't give me credit for them. And just God, tired of that shit. And yeah. And then something happened last night, and this is a very morbid topic, so if you are someone who is sensitive to talks of like death or murder or harm, you should probably click off this video. And yeah, and also like mental health disturbances. I'll put it to you like this. Anyone who knows me knows of the name JC or Juan Carlos. He's a guy I knew when I was like 14, 15. He was in the year above me, but at some point we shared a class together. When I first met him, I had a crush on him so hard because I thought he was a sexy, attractive, suave man. And then, let's just say as the years have gone by, and like we didn't talk for years until maybe I was suicidal at like 19. I remember I was just drinking like not like endless bottles of wine. I think I had 2 bottles of wine back to back in an attempted suicide by alcohol poisoning. Or was it I was trying to incapacitate myself so that I wouldn't just get up and kill myself. I got really hard. I was gonna kill myself over the pandemic plenty of times. Alcoholism was the way to get me to just lay down and sleep, or at the very least not move and cry and scream if I needed to and wait it out. But motherfucking JC, his bitch ass, I'll put it to you like this. JC just, I'll put it to you like this way. I was his first time ever. The only chick he had ever been with before was this girl who basically like forced him to eat her pussy all the time. Also, warning for like, sorry, I forgot to mention before in this video, obviously sexual assault and or coercion or sexual bad topics warning. Let's just say what that relationship, also she was verbally abusive to him. I don't believe physically, but maybe. And she also cheated on him at some point. And she never reciprocated, and basically like they never went on any dates. Like, even though, like, I don't know, I guess his family didn't teach him like, hey, if you have a girlfriend, you're supposed to ask her out on dates and do this and do that. Instead they decided like, so this girl was just like, hey, come over, eat my pussy, cool, get the fuck out. And he'd feel used and like he wasn't lovable and that he didn't have any worth. On top of that, furthermore, he didn't have the best home life either. His family did a terrible job of making him feel loved, and that's why now he's like, what, 25, 26, and still doesn't feel like he's deserving of anything good. He doesn't get anything for his birthday, anything for Christmas, and then like he's just fucking miserable all the time. And it doesn't help that he's Mexican, so he was basically groomed from a young age to believe that family is everything and that you are nothing, and that you are nothing, especially without family. He's had a plethora of issues, and I've seen him through alcoholism. I've seen him through suicidal thoughts. I've seen him through regret and his crushes on other women and lust and more, and I was fine with that. But I don't know how to go into this next topic. Let's just say I don't know how to go into this next topic. I don't. I'll put it to you like this way. Sometime before like October or so, or over the summer, like, we were meeting up sporadically. And it became like a thing for us. Like once a week, we'd meet up and do our thing. Like I said, celibate until paid, so you already know what was going on. But he started doing things that were just uncharacteristic. Like he started being more flirty. He started being more thoughtful and intimate. Like it's hard to explain, but he just did things that he didn't need to. Like if we're just meeting up for sex, and you know that I don't like kissing, but he went out of his way to be the one that actually like would be like sweetie, baby, honey, darling, all that shit, like pet names in bed, which is fine. It's like okay, got a little bit too much after a while though. And then he also was the one that initiated like revamping making out with me. I don't know, I guess he just missed the feeling of kissing or wanted to feel wanted, but I don't know. I think he craves a certain amount of intimacy, but he didn't want it with me. He just wanted to know it was accessible to him. And then, even then, it's like he would purposely go out of his way to be like, oh, hey, let's get you extra food from this spot before we go. Hell yeah, like, I can do it. Let me get you anything you want. And then on top of that, he'd be like, he wouldn't just be like, I'm just gonna meet up and have sex. He'd be like, I'm gonna meet up and then I'm going to to insist on having really deep conversations or talking to her and venting about my life and even letting her vent about some stuff in hers a little bit. And I'm gonna act like we have such an amazing connection. And here, actually, let's watch some episodes of that new Marvel 97 show. Like, why not? And even after sex was done, like I remember one night he just laid in my arms for like maybe 3 hours afterwards. And that he made it a habit to do that, to just lay down, cuddle against me naked. Sometimes he'd cry on my body from how stressed he was. Sometimes he would just like talk sweetly. Sometimes he'd talk about anything. And I don't know what to make of that other than what I know now. Because anything else would just be. Let's just say, imagine my surprise when like a while passed, like maybe a week or two, and then he said something like, I'm not going to be able to meet for a while, or at least not anymore. And I was like, oh, why not? And then he just was vague about it. And I was like, oh, well, all right, well, and he just kind of was cold. And that did upset me. And some time passed, and I did just say, you know what, this really fucking sucks because, like, we were like, I'm not saying you were just acting weird with how you were, like a bit more touchy and feely than you needed to be and a lot more intimate and stuff. And i I don't remember fully what I said next, but I do remember that I said something along the lines of, plus it just sucks to end this way because I thought we were friends. Like, I'm not saying you owe me anything, but it does suck that it's like I can't learn what's happening in your life or whatever when you made it a habit to tell me everything in your life and I thought we were friends and close. And then this asshole, oh, every single thing he said fucking before that was just a facade. He said we were barely even ever friends. Like I never like felt anything to you or saw anything with you. We were just people who met up for sex and that was it. But if you were to go back and look at some of our conversations, he was the guy saying, "Yeah, you're like the only person I have in my life to talk to like this. You're the only person I have around me. You're the closest person I'm with. Blah blah blah. I can't talk to anything else about with anyone else about what I do with you." But isn't that a tale as old as time? I'm pretty sure we could go down the track record of people I've dated or been friends with or whatever, and they always say that, and yet I still always get the short end of the stick. Fucking hate people, man. But you know what? You know what? So I stopped talking to him for a while. I thought I'd never see him again. Until one night, I guess he just hit me up and he was like, "Hi, I know you probably hate me and you have every reason to do so." And this was after like a month or two of no contact. And I thought like that was the end of an era. He was like, "I really want to give someone head. Do you want that?" And I was like, "I don't care if this man lives or dies anymore, but I could use some head." He stuck his entire tongue up my ass. It was a, ooh, yeah. And he did the sideways slurpage and the little, ooh, let me tell you, it was like a fountain in his back seat. He had certain techniques and tactics, and it's like, amen. But Time eventually passed, and then I remember one night he was just like, I want to meet up and just to talk. Like, please, I really need this. And we met up, and he got me food. Uh, no, like, no sex or anything, just, and we went to the beach, and like, we went on this long drive and talked about really deep shit he's never told me before, really dark things too. And then we went to the beach, and we hung out there until almost 4 a.m., almost daybreak, just holding each other in each other's arms as he talked about the same shit he always talks about that he has not resolved for the past fucking. So, like, let's put it this way. If I got back in touch with him at like 1920 and I'm 24 and his life has not made any substantial changes whatsoever despite worlds of opportunity, you cannot feel bad for him. Especially because it's like, oh, the one person you had around you hurt. And if I recall correctly, even after that night, he got very cold and distant again. And I even had a moment myself where I was like, I feel really bad. I feel like taking my life. Can we please meet tonight? He just straight up said, no, I can't. Sorry. And that's not the first time he's done that either. I hate that I ever buzz around him. But for financial reasons and for the sake of sexual reasons, it's like, still had its perks, and at least I know that I give great advice. It just would be nice if I was great at picking people to be around and friends. Anyway, I hate this nigga. Anyway, let's just put it to you like this. Some point, like, before Halloween, he hit me up. He was like, I will not be available for the entire month of November, by the way. And I was like, oh, okay. That's okay. But then something strange. Like, I also asked, like, is it, like, okay? Is everything in your family okay? Because I just figured he was gonna go to Mexico for the holidays or something. I don't know. But either way, he never responded to any of my messages, so it's like, okay, I let him be and figured, hey, I probably won't see him again. And I stopped caring about him entirely because I just kind of thought to myself, he's had the same issues for like how many years now, and he hasn't resolved a single one. And each time he asks me for advice that he doesn't take, and he vents to me about the same like fucking 6 topics, and he never believes me, never grows, never changes. So what's the point of being around him? He has to change when he wants to, not because. And even if he claims he wants to, he certainly doesn't really want to. Otherwise, he'd do anything. But then last night, he hit me up out of nowhere. He said, hey, you up? I said, what's up? He said, I'm really in the mood to suck titties. Are you down? I said, I thought to myself, I don't care about this man, but I suppose I have been craving a titty sucking. I was like, sure, let's meet up. He picked me up. And I just kind of told myself, if he, like, I talked, he was quiet, but he still did insist on, like, hearing about how my life was and whatever, but he never had much to say. And then when it became his turn and he was a little salty because I didn't ask shit about him, boo-hoo, nigga. Like, he was talking and talking and talking about his own shit, and I was just quiet for each thing he said, because, and it was so surreal. I didn't really, I felt like 2% bad, but even then, oh, more like 1.2% bad, because it's like, here we are, watching a man basically have a conversation with me that goes the exact same direction as any of my conversations with him have gone before, but this time I'm not speaking, and it's not making a difference in, like, his thoughts or what he will do or anything. It was actually surreal. I just thought to myself, he doesn't even need to be around me. He doesn't need to be here at all. And instead, he's just, yeah, I make no difference in this man's life. He just wants someone to talk to or through, not with. He doesn't need someone that actually, like, yeah. He was a little put off by my quietness, but it didn't stop him. And then at some point, he said something along the lines of, oh, hey, you remember I said I'd be unavailable for the month of November? And I was like, yeah, what was that about? He said, oh, there was just this girl I was trying to get at. I said, do not talk to me about that. He said, oh, right. I said, and I felt my heart race, but in my lungs feel heavy, and my vision starting to flicker in and out like it does when I'm about to black out. And I told him, I feel very unsafe right now, and I'm not going to be a safe person to you. And I want to be a safe person, and I don't want to be an unsafe person. You should take me home immediately because there's no chance in hell I'm going to be a safe person tonight. And he was like, oh, okay. And he started dragging me, like, back towards the direction of my place. But I suppose I got a bit curious, and I actually have video of it because I thought to myself, I get the feeling I should want to record some of these moments in case anything happens, in case I forget. But I guess at some point during the long, quiet drive, I eventually did say, you know what? Tell me more about her. Like, okay, how did things go at least? He said, oh, yeah, I didn't have any real luck with her. And I said, how so? He said, like, I was trying to see if I could get to know her, but yeah, it didn't work out. I said, did you bother to ask her out? He said, no, I didn't. And I thought to myself, what a pathetic fucking bastard. You get a whole month or more to, like, try things with this girl, and you can't even do the first step of asking her out. It's the easiest step. And I just thought to myself, despite my nervousness and despite how I felt like I just said it. I said, so you couldn't type 4 words? Want to have a date? And then he laughed and he said, nah, I can't do it. You think it'd be so easy, but now I can't. And I said, do you want me to type it for you to get it over with? He said, no, I don't need you to do that. And I just looked at him and I said, pathetic. And then looked away. And then there was a large silence in the car for a really long time before he just turned up his music and started singing in Spanish as he always does. At some point, I noticed my switchblade was in my pocket. And I was having extremely vivid flashbacks. I forgot to mention this, so intermission. During one of my friendship endings with Seamus, at some point, like before he eventually apologized to me sometime this summer and we became friends again for a little bit. Before then, his first attempt at trying to get back on good terms with me was basically him approaching me and being like, hi, just so you know, like, I think you're just making things up and I think you're crazy. And I personally have never said anything to you ever. And if I did, you deserved it. And I never did anything wrong. And you're probably just like crazy or making things up. And, yeah, I've never hurt you ever in my life, ever. And, oh, did I mention you're crazy? And I remember during that, I gave him several warnings to stop being disrespectful. He didn't take any fucking warning because he had his ego issues and stuff. And this is what happened. My vision started to flicker in and out really hard, and I started twitching. And it got really bad. And I started to zone out. And I started to feel kind of like pinhole vision, like it started to feel like I was sinking within myself and like sitting in the back seat of my own emotions and control. Like someone else was about to take the reins and you did not want them to. And then I had this overlapping vision playing, ironically, in the forefront of my mind, where whatever was just, it felt like a new consciousness came and took over me. And I also, when my vision, like, then it went from like flickering between seeing things in black, seeing things in black, seeing things in black. It was just the endless hyper realistic vision of take that cup of alcohol and toss it on its lap. Take that cup of hot tea you have in front of you and toss it on its lap. Take that cup of water that he brought and toss it on his lap. And I couldn't stop picturing it. And I went nonverbal as the image just played over and over in my mind. It was like the sounds of my voices in my head were overlapping. The vision kept playing and playing and playing as I could just see him in the corner still just being like, yeah, personally, like, I don't know what your deal is, but like, yeah, I try. And I'm a and then next thing you know, I decided, fuck it, I'll make it a reality. I grabbed the cup of water, tossed it on his lap, and I felt really good and also horribly bad at the same time. And then everything snapped and went to normal. I was the same girl. Like no fucked up instant replay, no weird dissociative shit. Just like I was back to me. And now it's like, oh shit, I'm back in reality. And now he's soaking wet from his shirt to his knees, and he's looking at me angry, and something's about to happen. And I felt so like I went from like feeling really good for like 3 seconds, like smiling, to like -10 emotions, like fuck, I should just go home and kill myself level bad. And I looked at him crying and I said, listen, I fucking hate you, but like you're not a bad person, and I never want to fucking hurt you, and you make me want to hurt you, and I never want to fucking do that to you, because I'm not the best person either, Seamus, and I can't be friends with you because that's what I want to do to you. And I can't do that to you because I care, so just stop. And then I left. And then I remember distinctly how quickly I tried to leave, as I just saw like all the other comedians in the room like turn and shift as he approached them soaking wet. And I heard, "What happened, Seamus?" She just threw water on me. And I left and I went ahead and cried all the way until I got on the bus and then cried on the way home. And yeah, so that's just foreshadowing for this. And I'm being open about my mental state because I feel like it. Now, on to what happened last night. Mind you, I'm in his car. I'm wearing my several layers of clothing. I've got a switchblade in my pocket, as well as a lip gloss, my passport, everything. And we were in those long, tangling woods and on those roads together, and I thought to myself, it was like the same thing was happening. An instant replay in my mind where my body was telling me you would feel incredibly good if you just backhand the shit out of it. You want to feel his blood and his snot on the back of your hand. You want to feel his teeth sink into your fucking knuckles. You want to see him cry and feel anything for you because he never feels anything fucking for you ever. And you're gonna make him feel something, and he's gonna cry and feel sadness or hatred or betrayal like he's always made you fucking feel. And I kept thinking to myself, like, as I was just sitting calmly in his car, not moving, very, very quiet. Eventually, it stopped being the image of me backhanding him in the middle of those words and making him cry or have a breakdown or causing him, the guy who spent most of the car ride talking about, yeah, I don't get mad easily. I took anger management. I have a lot of patience, you know. I wanted to see him get fucking angry and cry and feel bad like I did, because I can't be the only one feeling bad anymore. I'm over it. But you know what I did? I back. No, I didn't backhand the shit out of him. But I did think about it. But then the visage, the image that was playing in front of me started to change. It was the image of me taking my switchblade out of my pocket, switching it open, and then stabbing him in the chest and the neck as many times as I could. And I saw it vividly. It felt like just watching two different realities occur, and I felt everything like it was real. The image of him choking on his own blood with his hands around his neck and being fucking dead in the seat, and his body laying and collapsing on the horn, me getting out in the middle of the road, wearing my all black outfit, bloodied fucking wrists, strolling down the street, eyes wide, feeling nothing, not knowing where I'm gonna go next or what's gonna happen to me, but feeling really fucking good that I did it, while the reality sinks in about how devastatingly bad that is. It's disgusting, I know. But did I? No. But at some point, the visage wouldn't stop, and neither would my anxiety. My anxiety was getting really high, but I kind of knew to myself, I have to do this. I pulled my switchblade out of my pocket with this hand. I pulled it out, flicked it open for all of a second, and then put it back in my pocket. That way, like, the visage stopped, but I also could, like, my anxiety flared up, but then went down. It flared up to remind me, like, you're doing this, no, but then it went down because it's like, okay, you've probably scared him enough. You don't have to take this man's life. You don't have to do anything truly bad to him. But he I'm pretty sure he saw that. And I'm pretty sure that spooked him enough. And then on top of that, like, my anxiety went back down because it's like, okay, you had your moment. You had your scare. You're okay. What you need to do now is just put it back in and I put it back in my pocket. And I felt back to normal. The visage stopped, the anxiety normalized, and I felt close to my normal self. But then I started twitching and shaking, as I tend to. And then I felt so bad, and I felt the vision starting to fuck up again, and the twitching of the face, and the more severe stuff. Eventually, he pulls up to my place. And I manage to, despite how sometimes when I have these moments, it feels like I'm going through full body paralysis from the amount of paralyzing anxiety that's stopping me from functioning like normal. I managed to reach over and click off my seatbelt, twitching in the process with my eyes, kind of doing God knows whatever. And I just kind of roll my head to barely look at him, and I just said this before looking away. I said, "Hey, Juan Carlos, I really thought about killing you tonight. And I almost was gonna do it. So you have to do me a favor." And I tilted my head to him, and I saw his eyes were a little bit wide, but I didn't care about. I can't tell what emotion he felt or I didn't want to guess because I never can guess what emotion he feels. Because even when he tells me, he's always fucking lying. I looked over at him and I just said, "So you should go ahead and block me." And I got out of his car. And the second, like, the door clicked of me closing the door gently on his car, he damn near sped off as fast as he could. Then I went home. And I felt guilty about it, but I thought to myself, I didn't kill him, I didn't hurt him. I thought of a million bad things to do. I could have spat a loogie on him. I could have backhanded him. I could have scratched his wrist. I could have made a fucking scene. I could have done what Rihanna did to Chris Brown before Chris Brown pulled a Chris Brown. I could have done a lot of shit. I could have hawked a loogie on his windshield. I could have kicked his fucking car door. I could have pissed on. I could have done a lot. The intrusive thoughts were very much going ham that evening, but I thought to myself, I need to say something because if I leave his car and we meet up another time, he will not be as lucky. And I never want to see this man again because this is the man who knew I had feelings with him back then and fucking rejected me. But that's not just it. I could get over him not romantically wanting me, but I could never get over the fact that several times I was suicidal and about to kill myself, and all I needed was a ride to clear my head, and he was never available for that. It had to be on his terms always. And when it came down to fucking anything, he was not there for me. He was good for money occasionally. He was good for that. Amen to that. He was a drain on my life. Not or at best, even the best moments, he was a small temporary distraction, but it doesn't change the fact that it's like, he was not a healthy person. And I blessed him by not hurting him, but I've also cursed him the same way, because now, if anything were to happen to him, he does not have me as a fallback. If you have a crush and you're stressing about how to talk to her, you don't get to talk to me. You got to deal with that shit alone. If you are stressed about your family or your job or your work or you're horny, guess what? You're gonna have to just deal with that the old-fashioned way and rub that shit out when your family's asleep, baby. You can't talk to me. You're gonna have to deal with that shit on your own, just like I have. And you're gonna realize, like, oh shit, this is probably how Tia felt. Or maybe they won't. But yeah, I had to deal with shit on my own even when I had so-called friends. So their curse, their punishment is just not having access to me. And I'll be happy. I'll still get amazing, beautiful jewelry from men who really love me. And even if they don't love me, the jewelry is at least fucking nice. I'm going to have a nice, fulfilling life of making mead and enjoying succulents and taking really good care of myself and eating healthy and getting outdoors when I can and socializing and doing all sorts of things that some of these people wouldn't even dream to fucking do because they want to stay in their own bubble and have their own Groundhog Day type lives. Not me. I have a life of excitement and whimsy, and I plan to have it, and I don't need to be pulled down by the weights of people who can't see the same vision as me or only want me to focus on them. I'm the main character in my own life. I'm gonna give myself grace and leeway in any fucking outlet I can because I want, need, and require a good life. No exceptions. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go play video games and stuff and maybe make some pancakes. So goodbye. Take care of yourselves.